All right, this is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show, and today I'm pleased to have the man, the myth, the legend, the founding member of the Specials, Lynval Golding.
Thank you very much for having me here. Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
What was your early youth like growing up in Jamaica?
Because we're from the country, right outside villages, where we got so much freedom of kids run around and picking mangoes and all different fruits. It was just brilliant for a kid growing up. In the country, there wasn't that much traffic, so there was no kind of us getting run over by a car, you know. It was lovely. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We didn't have all the material things like that what today's kids have, because we just had a little transistor radio. Where do we get our music from? Hear music from across from Cuba, flying over, and right through. So it was good to listen to little crackly radio. It was brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed my life in the villages in tropical Jamaica. You know,
moving to Gloucester, England.
Gloucester, where you got to have the shore, is quite close to where Prince Charles living down the road from the Cotswold. Beautiful, but Gloucester's Cheltenham Spa. It's the spa. It's really very, very upper class, conservative. But Gloucestershire now is where the working class, those who come over to work in the factories and the foundry. My father was invited over by Sir Winston Churchill to come to England to rebuild England after the last World War. Because don't get, London was bombed, Coventry was bombed, blowing up and everything. They had to rebuild. So just like what's happening today with all sad wars that taking place, where you got to rebuild all this. Man, where is the love for each other? My father was in West Indians from the Caribbean islands, was invited over to come and rebuild England. My father was one of those who come over on what they call the Windrush generation. It's a ship that takes him over to come and rebuild England. The one thing which is really strange that because I'm the second generation, my father's first generation, obviously the plans for that generation was to come to England, stay for 3 years, work, get all the money, send it back to Jamaica to rebuild to have the nice little home and everything. But due to the cheap labor, they could never save enough. So therefore they just say, all right then, what we do? We'll bring the other family over, the kids over, from Jamaican wives and stuff like that. Although my mother and my father were never married, but they had 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. My mom was in England before the children come to England, and my mother and my father, they fell out and they broke up, and my mother went back to Jamaica, and then my father decided, well, it's his turn to have the children in England with him. Me as a little 12, 11-year-old, I had no idea what this was about, I was traumatized for most of my life and never realized why.
I read that you were getting off the boat, your grandmother was taking you, and your mother stayed on the boat.
My mother was putting me in the boat to go to live with my father. I didn't know that my mother wasn't coming to England back with us, and she started crying, and I was walking up on the ship. The ship was called the Ascana. It's an Italian ship. Walking up on the ship, I says, Mom, where's my mother? She says, go on, I changed my mind. I'm not going to England anymore. And my auntie, I love my auntie, she is up there going, Lynval, come. I'm looking at my mother crying. I'm going, well, I changed my mind. I'm not going to England anymore. I didn't get it. I didn't understand that you're going to England whether you like it or not. And my God, I didn't realize how because therapy and all that wasn't around at those times. It wasn't even invented. They never thought of, So I grew up in England, traumatized, and I had no idea because I didn't want to leave my mom. I didn't know when I was going to see my mother again. I didn't get to see my mother until the Specials made it. I was like in my 20s then, 26, 27, and go back and meet my mother for the first time after leaving mother as 11-year-old, and trying to put one and one together to make 2 right didn't make no sense to me at all. My father wanted the best for us, my mother wanted the best for us, but Mom, I can't leave you behind because that's not the best for me emotionally as a child. My mother was so strong, and so I love my mom so much because what she did for us, me and my sister, my 2 sisters, sent us off to England to be with our father, to go to school, to be educated, right? Without a good education, life means nothing. You've got to learn, And I'm so pleased that I lived to be able to go back to Jamaica, hug my mother. I wanted to tell her how much I love her, grateful I am for the decision that she made, because without her making that decision, right, I wouldn't be here sitting and talking to you today.
How did your life change when your family moved to Coventry?
From Gloucester to Coventry, right? Coventry was an industrial city. Car manufacturers, Rolls-Royce, Dunlop, blah, 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 all the Peugeot, all the Morrises, Jag, all built in Coventry. So let me tell you this one thing, right? Between Cheltenham and Gloucester, on this road, you could see all the big war machines, all the tanks and all that, right? Because don't forget, they had to restock after the last World War, rebuilt, which we don't understand, right? The war machine and the money that's put inside of those machines, those killing machines, right? All right. My father worked at Doughty Roto, rebuilding all these war machine, right? So when they restock up back, what do you do when you got all your stocks back up together? You think, well, that's it then. We all got our tanks back together now, our quarter, whether it's 1,000 or 100,000, whatever it is. So there, well, you're out of a job now. You'll make redundant. Okay, well, thank you, because we don't need you anymore. Because we got all the war machine there now. We're ready for the next war. So my father decided to move from Gloucester to Coventry because of work. Because Coventry was like Detroit with the car. Right now, Coventry is a different city now. Different. What do you mean by being different? Well, now, there's no manufacturer there, because don't get everything is sourced off to India, to China, to all these other countries that make all the car, like Rolls-Royce owned by BMW. So under Margaret Thatcher's government, everything gets sold off. I can see why we're in this country now. The big con, we're going to get all those manufactured back to America. You're talking a lot of nonsense. It's moved on. Coventry invest in education, becomes a university city because of industry. So Coventry now has got no industry at all. It's a college town. And I would like to thank Coventry very much, because they gave me an honorary doctorate.
You went to Coventry. When did you start to have a trajectory towards being in the Specials?
When we moved from Gloucester to Coventry, it was difficult. Although my father and my stepmother, I love my stepmother to bit. I was quite blessed to have a wonderful stepmother. Love you, Miss V. When we moved to Gloucester, I had no experience of what racism was about. So at school, it was tough. There's times I didn't want to go to school, because to be confronted with racists and calling a monkey and calling all the sort of different names, right, was very painful. And go back to Africa, I said, at the time I didn't know where Africa was, because we weren't educated at school in Jamaica talking about Africa, because Africa is like the slaves. It's like what they're trying to do now, keep all those books away from school. We were denied all those books in school in Gloucester, because in Jamaica, because it's British rule. So Coventry was very tough, because I was at 17-year-old, 18 nightlife, nightclubs and all that. Then we start realizing we get to a step up the ladder. Racist. This is not just in schoolyard, it's at the clubs now and at the pubs, you know. You go in there and it was hell. I mean, I got stabbed in my neck.
Yeah, when you were in Funboy 3.
Funboy 3, yeah. I didn't get to finish the Funboy 3 album. Terry, bless him, love him, man. He finished the album because I couldn't, because I was in hospital. And I've gone through so much traumatized in my life.
You got beaten up too. Yeah, you got beaten up when you were in the Specials.
I got beat up in West Hampstead, you know? And I had to go to do the Montrose Jazz Festival. And that's where I wrote that song, Why? Why did you try to hurt me? Tell me why. Did you really want to kill me? Tell me why. Because it was literally fighting. We have the football crowd coming down to Coventry, and a Saturday when it was hell. Is running battle all the time. You know when you talk about a cat's got 9 life, right? Yeah. I got more than 9 life, you know, and I'm still here. Oh my God, you know. So you can see the one thing which I'm so proud of, right? I would say, Jerry Dammers, love you, man. What you've done and what you've achieved with all of us is legendary, and I have to give you the credit. We have our fight, because you know we're youth growing up.
It was the Coventry Automatics first, then it became the Automatics.
I was on guitar and Jerry was on keyboard. Ours was third member, Silverton, the drummer. Tim Strickland was on vocal. We didn't have Roddy on guitar yet. We didn't have Neville. Neville was a roadie with us, and that was the original of which at that time we were called the Automatics. So that's when that's all Jerry's work. Arranging the songs and putting the songs together, I learned how to write songs through Jerry. That's one thing which is so different. Jerry didn't go to a comprehensive school like I did. He went to the old King Henry school, the upper class school, but Jerry fought very hard to get away from his upper class background. He wanted to know what it is like to be from a working class background. So he made all the sacrifice and abandoned his upper class background just to be with us. Because and that time he misunderstood us, right? We wanted better, Jerry. Don't think that we're happy being down here, being treated like shit. We wanted what you've got. I want to be like you guys. Well, Jerry, we want to have all the trappings of being from your upper class background. Because don't forget, Jerry's father was the dean of Bristol Cathedral, very high man in the church. I don't know if many people know that Jerry was born in India, privileged background.
Then it became the Automatics. What's the next step after you guys get together?
When we tour with the Clash, the Unparoled tour, me and Jerry, we hitched to London. I mean, God, the thing is, this was crazy, guys. I was thinking, hitching to London. There's nobody going to give a black guy a lift, you know, the way things were at the time. It was me and Jerry. And Jerry's used to that because, you know, he's from that background where we'll hit you London. So I just followed him. We did get a lift by one of the union leader and in a Jag. I thought, wow, what a way. Me and Jerry, what style, man, we're in a Jag going to London, you know, to go and plead with Burning Roads if we can get in the Clash tour. Because around those times, big major record company would pay for their bands to be in tour with the big bands. Because breaking the band, we had no money, so we had to go and beg. Through Joe Strummer, we got on parole tour with the Clash, and we got paid. It was only £50, but wow, £50! We could buy fish and chips and pay for this one guy who would drive us in a transit van, and we get fish and chips, and we couldn't stay in a hotel or we just keep put us up for the night. That's what it was. It was an adventure. We're young.
When did the Automatics or the Coventry Automatics, when did they become the Specials?
Let me tell you what happened, right? There's a band from Australia called the Automatics, right? So we had to change our name. On the first night in Aylesbury, opening for the Clash, we were still the Automatics, and we're in the dressing room and we're chatting and blah, 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 and we come up with the name, the Specials. We walk on stage, the first night of the Clash, the On Parole tour, the Specials. That's what happened in Aylesbury.
Neville Staple was your roadie.
Was one of the roadies.
And he was getting Mick Jones marijuana.
What it was, right, Neville was the one in the band, because, you know, we have to have a balance in the band. I'm the diplomatic one. Neville's the hooligan. Yeah. He's gone to young offenders prison. We had to bail him out, and Horace had to get some money together and pay to save him from going to Winston Green prison, because they're going to lock him up. So we had to pay his bail money to keep him out. Obviously, he looks great in the band, you know. Not me, I'm the wimp, you know. But he's a tough one. And what he brought to the band was incredible. He was just so natural. And how we got into the band was, you know, there, and suddenly we started hearing this voice coming over there. Who's that? Where's that coming from? It's Neville on the mic, toasting away, chatting away. That's how we got into the band. It worked so well. And he was street. Because, you know, with us, you've got like the really upper class, which is Jerry and Horace. You got the working class with me and Terry and Brad and Rod. We're all the working class. Putting together a combination that shouldn't work. We made it work because music was a strength. And the lyrics of the song talk about what we're going through. We signed our contract the same time that Margaret Thatcher became the first woman Prime Minister of England, 1979. We signed a contract with Chrysalis Records.
The Blairing Out Show.